I don't know if I've ever really showed you what's in this room, and it's mostly because it's just a bunch of unorganized junk. I know, hard to believe, but that's what was in here. Along with my chicken butchering supplies, I've got some duck decoys and just a bunch of other random stuff that I've got pulled out of here now because I've got some plans for this room. What I would like to turn this into is a storage room, which means I want shelving on all of the walls. I want just places to put things, you know, like a bunch of stuff that I've got stored in the shop right now doesn't really need to be in there, but I just want to keep it out of the weather, and this room would be a perfect room to store things that are like that. But part of the reason why I have not put anything in here of any value is because the rats have really overtaken this room. So I want to get everything cleaned out of here and try to find where the rat holes are, try to plug them up as best as we can, and then transform this into a nice storage room. You can see the rats have got this all dug up. There's rat droppings everywhere, cobwebs, I mean, you name it. This looks like a room that's been neglected for 30 years because it probably has. This is the kind of job that's gonna take me a long time, and I'm probably not gonna enjoy very much of it. So rather than sit here and try to do it all at once, I'm just gonna try to take little bites on this a little bit every week until I get it to where I want it. So the day is gonna start in here and we'll see where it goes from there. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Well, I'm making progress here slowly but surely. It's kind of hard to show you guys what's going on because that drop light that I have flickers on camera for whatever reason. Doesn't do that in real life, but it does it on camera. I basically got an entire bucket of rat droppings and dirt here dug up by the rats. And now the next step is to come in here with the broom and the vacuum and try to get this a little bit cleaner and try to locate where all the holes are where the rats can get in. I know on that back wall, the concrete footing and the floor, there's a big split there, and I think that's a lot of my problem, so I'll come back and fill that in with concrete at some point. But I'm sure there's other places as well. So a little more cleaning. I'm gonna have to do something about the lighting in here so you guys can kind of see what's going on, but you'll just have to take my word for it and the dim footage. We're making big progress, but I think that's about as much as I want to do on this today. Well, it's a new day, which means there are new jobs to do. I've got 200 pounds of seed here in the side-by-side. This is left over from when I planted the hay field. And I've got an idea of what I want to do with this stuff, and I want to explain it to you now. My plan is to take this seed and spread it out on the pasture, and then I'm hoping in the springtime I'll have a choice of whether or not I want to graze it or cut it and bale it for hay. Now, some of you might remember that I tried something very similar to this last year, and I didn't get very good results. What I did was I just took the seed out there with the 3-point spreader and spread it on the ground and just kind of waited to see what would sprout. And what I found is that not much of it did. It did a little bit better wherever I had aerated the field, but the stuff that was untouched really didn't sprout very good at all. So this year I thought, well, what I could do is spread the seed out and then go out and do a light pass with the spring tooth. That should help cover it, and hopefully something will sprout that way. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, man, that's a lot of moving equipment around, trips back and forth, in order to plant what'll end up being like 3 acres of hay that, you know, may or may not sprout. And I just kind of was not too excited about that idea until I had a different one. Now stick with me here. What if instead of taking the spring tooth out into the pasture and doing a light pass to cover the seed, what if instead I hot wire off the area where I throw the seed out, which I'm thinking is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 acres. And then within that 3 acres, I take a couple bales of this triticale hay and roll it out on top of the seed. Then the plan is to open the gate so that the harvest steers and the yearling calves can go out on that 3 acres and eat those triticale bales that are rolled out on the ground. Now in the process of them doing this, they are going to be walking out there, obviously. Well, with each step they take with their split toe, they should be incorporating that seed into the ground and giving a very light disturbance on top, because the ground is still, it's not, I wouldn't say muddy, but it is, it's got moisture in it and it is soft. So their split toe should be just enough, I think, to push those seeds down underground, or at least get some good soil to seed contact to make that stuff germinate. By closing off that area with hot wire, it ensures that the calves and their little hooves are going to stay where I want them to stay, and just concentrate that effort in the area where the seed is spread. So that's what I'm going to try this year. I'm a little bit more optimistic about this working. And in the process, they will do what calves do and leave some ground amendments, fertilizer, if you will, while they're out there. So that's my little forage experiment for this winter. I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to do is just find a way that I can not only increase my forage yield altogether, but it will be nice to have the option in the spring, or, you know, it could even be early spring, to graze that or bale it. It'll just kind of depend on what the weather's doing. If it's too wet, or if we're getting a lot of rain, it will make a lot more sense to graze it. But so yeah, we'll just kind of have to see what happens. But first, Mega Feeder is empty, so we must fill it. Last couple of days I've been putting 5 bales in here instead of 4, just because the weather has been a little bit cooler. I very meticulously counted every bale that I have on hand here and figured out, you know, how much I could get away with feeding every day and still have enough hay to last me through April. These 5 bales will last the cows 3 days, and it works out to something around like 23 to 25 pounds per cow per day. Now I can get away with feeding that in this climate because for us cold weather is like high 30s, low 40s. And I found that over the course of 3 days, this is about as much as they will eat. Like if I put more in there, there'll still be a bunch of hay left over on day 3. But be that as it may, it doesn't stop them from all trying to fight to get up here on the day that you fill the feeder. It's frustrating, but you can't exactly tell them not to do it. Next job, we got to go get hot wire set up. Before I start tearing hot wire down, I just wanted to show you guys over here where I bale grazed earlier in the fall. It is exploding out here. This is awesome. These first two checks here look really good. They're a nice deep dark green. These ones next door though don't look as good. You can see some of this stuff is starting to yellow a little bit, and that's caused by a couple of different things. I think one, if you have any low spots where there will be standing water, it's definitely going to yellow and die out there. This stuff does not like standing water like that, and the ground here in the pasture is heavily clay, so it doesn't drain that good. Like this stuff all right here, I think this is yellowing because there probably was a puddle there. It's dried up now, but you can just tell that it's been wet. And then some of this I think is probably lack of nutrients. Like I really need to fertilize this. At the very least, get out here with the manure spreader and spread manure. You can see exactly where I rolled those bales out. Before we can turn them out there, I gotta take this hot wire down here in the little field to give them access to that gate. There's quite a bit of grass growing in here, and I imagine this is gonna keep them occupied for a little bit. So we'll do this first, and hopefully by the time we're ready for them to go out there, they'll be done. Got on something there. What is it? You got a bull? Gopher? Get it. Where's it at? I smell something. Well, it took them a minute, but I think they have realized that the wire is down now. So you might notice there's a lot of clover in here, and I was a little bit worried at first about letting them in, but they should be okay because it's not like they've been out of hay for a day. In fact, they've still got hay in the feeder, so you can pretty well assume that everybody's belly is more or less full. So they just physically will not be able to eat enough clover to cause any problems, or at least that's the theory. That, and the fact that when I weaned these calves, the next morning when I came out here, there were 2 or 3 of them that had jumped the hot wire and were in all of this clover. So they were in there overnight, and they had their heads down eating. And they did not end up having any problems, so I think we'll be good. Okay, more hot wire. We got 6.6 kilovolts on this wire, which is plenty enough. And you know, I'm pretty impressed with that little S30 because it's been cloudy for like 2 weeks and it's still putting out good power. Those lithium energizers will automatically reduce their output like when it's dark or cloudy to conserve the battery and make it last longer. If the sun was shining, I bet this wire would be hitting at like 8 to 10 kilovolts, but over 6 is more than enough. Well, that'll do it for the hot wire. Let's open the gate and see if any of these calves are interested in coming out here. They may not be because they're still working on that patch of grass that I opened up to them a little bit earlier, but I'm hoping when they see me drive out here with a bale on the back of the tractor that they might come over and at least check it out. Really no use in sitting here waiting for them to find it. They will. It might take a while though. If, you know, one of these calves happens to work up this fence line, which looks like one of them is, you know, they'll make it out here. In the meantime, let's go get the tractor, get the spreader hooked up, and start putting the seed out. What are you guys doing out here? I guess they're on break. Well, maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea, but I'm gonna try to spread the seed with the 8N. Now, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be able to do it. We're only gonna have about, what, 300 pounds on the 3-point, which is nothing for that tractor. And, you know, I upgraded the PTO shaft on this tractor so that I could do light PTO work with it. It's got enough gas in it, and if this works out, it's gonna save me from hooking and unhooking a bunch of times on the New Holland. So let's give it a try. So I think this is gonna work, but I'll be the first to say, if I was doing any more than what I'm gonna be doing, this is not the setup that I would run. The bad thing about this, it didn't really occur to me until I already had everything hooked up, is that the 3-point doesn't work unless the PTO is engaged, and I don't want the agitator in here just going the whole time. So what I'll have to end up doing is, after I fill it with seed, I'm not going to hook the PTO up until we get down there and I'm like ready to go. And then, you know, that'll kind of sidestep that little issue. But other than that, this should be fine. And there was a time when this is all anybody had to use. Of course, I don't know if they were running 3-point spreaders or not. So we'll cut it. Well, they found the open gate. Well, it looks like I've got an audience. Well, I guess it's the moment of truth. I don't know how much I'm gonna really be able to film of this. It's kind of hard to start and stop with that thing, especially with this tractor, but well, we'll see what I can do. Well, that part is done. It wasn't pretty, but it did work. So calves are out here. You saw them, really curious about what I was doing, which I guess is fine. But even though they are out here, which is what I need them to do, I'm still gonna roll the hay out just to kind of keep their attention in this area. And then my plan is to just continue to bale graze this 3 acres with the calf group until we get some rain. I don't want them, you know, making mud out here, but it looks like we're not going to get rain for a couple more weeks. So I should be able to get several bales rolled out here, which I think is going to help this experiment immensely. So let's run back home, get the bale unroller and the New Holland, and finish this up. Well, so far the setup for this little experiment is working exactly like I had envisioned. We got the seed on the ground, we got the hay on top of the seed, and we got the calves on top of that. Typically with this group, 2 bales would last 3 days. And I expect it to be more or less the same rolling it out on the ground, even though they are going to waste some. They've also got access to a lot of extra grass out here, plus all the extra grass that I gave them access to earlier in the video when I took that hot wire down. My hope is that I'm able to bale graze the calves back here long enough to have a chance to unroll hay on every part of this treated area. So it's going to take several more feedings to get all the way over to the other hot wire. And I'm sure some people will ask, the hay that I rolled out over here is triticale, which does not make a viable seed. So like earlier in the video when I showed you where I had been bale grazing, how all of that had sprouted up, that was forage mix hay, which is the seed that I threw out here. Forage mix hay will sprout when you roll it out on the ground. Triticale will not. So any hay species in this part of the pasture that ends up sprouting is from the seed that we put down. And I suspect that we'll probably have the best germination right where I rolled this bale out, because whatever hay the calves don't end up eating is just going to act like, well, it's going to cover the seed, which is what the seed wants. So we might end up with a bunch of strips out here and it'll just look like I rolled 3-way hay out. But that's why we got to do these tests, because we'll never know if we don't do it. But for now, I think we're going to end this one here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.